Hello, my name is Bodach, and I have a presentation for you tonight. Do you remember OJ Simpson? It's the case that never goes out of style, just like mullets and fanny packs. Remember the high-speed car chase? You know, the one slower than your granddad's Sunday drive. Decades on, and there's still conspiracy theories about the murder of Nicole Brown and Ron Goldman. One I want to quickly explore tonight is the theory that the real killer, OJ Simpson's son. That's the theory I want to explore. That's the conspiracy theory. Did OJ just take the fall? This theory is older than my favourite socks. We had a book back in 2012 titled OJ is Innocent and I Can Prove It by William Deere, covering this theory in more detail than I will be going into tonight. The theory was also covered by the BBC. They were onto it in the year 2000 with OJ Simpson, The Untold Story. Tonight, I want to present 6 reasons that may suggest that Jason, OJ Simpson's son, is the real killer. But first, let's dive into the life of Jason Simpson, who, just by the way, isn't the guy who wrote the Iliad or the Odyssey, but who might have had a life as epic or tragic, depending on which ancient Greek playwright you ask. Born in 1970, Jason's the apple not far from OJ's tree, and his early years reads like a telenovela, drama, intrigue, and a splash of tragic backstory. The poor lad was only 7 when he realised his father was dating Nicole Brown while still married to his mum. Soon after, they were divorced and OJ married Nicole. And just when you thought a pool was for fun, oh God, I messed it up. And just when you thought a pool was for fun, sun, and maybe a cheeky barbecue, in the Simpsons world, it's the stage for a Greek-level tragedy. Poor Jason lost his little sister, Erin, in a pool. She drowned. Now, before you get teary-eyed, let's add some seasoning to this already spicy tale. According to the page-turner of a book, our lad Jason may have tried to find solace in the warm embrace of alcohol, ecstasy, and cocaine, all at the age of 14. When I was 14, I was figuring out how to hide my crusty, stiff, cum-soaked socks from my mother after a teenage wankathon. Not Jason though, he was on drugs, hard drugs. Fast forward a few tumultuous teen years, and we find Jason grappling with mental health issues, a criminal record, and oh yeah, the brutal murders of Nicole and Ron. Nothing like some international scandal to round off the family saga. But that's our brief background on Jason. If you ever thought your family gatherings were, intense, remember The Simpsons. Today, Jason Simpson works as a chef. But let's move on. I want to give you 6 reasons why I believe Jason could be the real murderer. This is purely speculation, but I'm sure you'll agree that it's compelling nonetheless. William Deere spent 18 years on this investigation for his book, and I can't even commit to a diet for 18 days. Apparently, his research showed an exhaustive list of evidence that says, hey, maybe that jury had a point when they acquitted OJ. Now, while everyone's playing detective, there's a whole buffet of suspects they think might have done the deed. It's like a game of Clue, but a lot less fun. And from this buffet of bad guys, guess who's the main course? Jason Simpson. So, reason number 1. Jason Simpson has a criminal past. In fact, the rap sheet is quite extensive. Jason collected police reports like Pokemon. Jason has been arrested 4 times. First, he went for the DUI. Then he thought, why not drive with a suspended license? Because who respects laws anyway? It's like playing a game of Monopoly, isn't it? Pass go, collect £200, get arrested. And then we have his fascination with kitchen knives. Jason's threatening behaviour with knives scared the shit out of his girlfriend, his other girlfriend, and even his boss. Now, some say OJ was a bit handsy, but he never went the Jason route of adding cutlery to the mix. But let's be serious for a second. Domestic violence isn't a laughing matter. And knives. Stick to using them for buttering toast. Reason number 2. Jason has a diagnosed rage disorder. Jason was diagnosed with something called intermittent rage disorder, which sounds like my reaction when someone drives too slow in front of me. They call it Jekyll and Hyde syndrome. One minute you're chilling watching TV, the next minute you're, killing your stepmom. Allegedly. Jason has got this nifty habit of blacking out and occasionally hears a few voices in his noggin. I mean, who doesn't? I had a voice this morning tell me, Bodach, you'll never make it as a streamer. But then another one said, see? The other voices agree. Anyway, Jason was prescribed I don't know how you say that bloody word. Depacate, or what the fuck? He was prescribed meds for his voices and his rage. A drug to help control and prevent manic episodes. But, surprise, surprise, the lad decided, I'm feeling a bit rebellious. I'm going to stop these pills because who needs stability in their life? Now, here's the juicy part. There's a book, a documentary, and a real posh Business Insider article. And they're all pointing fingers at Jason, saying he committed the murders due to unexplained rage. Maybe he just stubbed his toe. That'd do it for me. And get this. On the night of the supposed deed, Nicole was supposed to grab a bite to eat at Jason's restaurant, but apparently, the restaurant where he worked, but apparently, she changed her mind. Maybe she got a glimpse of the menu and legged it. Oh, look, today's special, psychotic breakdown with a side of delusion. But let's move on. Reason 3. Jason's private diary reveals violent thoughts. Jason isn't your average diary keeper, oh no. He's got that write or die spirit, quite literally. He was jotting down notes about wanting to hurt anyone who wronged his loved ones. I mean, who needs enemies when you've got Jason as a friend, right? There's this corker of a note titled, Dear Jason. Jason talking to himself, that was. It's just the solo version of looking in the mirror and saying, hey handsome. Only, in this case, it's more like, hey, you, 3. Yep, Jason also has multiple personalities. 3 in 1. Sounds like a shampoo had gone wrong. Handwriting experts have confirmed that all the writing, despite having multiple personalities, is indeed by our man, Jason. Because why hire a ghostwriter when you've got 3 of you doing the job? Huh? But reason 4. Let's move on. Physical evidence links Jason to the murder scene. First off, we've got a black knit navy watch cap. Sounds like a sailor's beanie. And guess what? It's found at the murder scene, but doesn't match any fibres on OJ. This hat was also decked out in dog hairs. OJ Simpson didn't own a dog, but Jason did. If you're going to leave behind a hat, don't make it your dog's favourite chew toy. And let's pop over to Jason's storage locker. Look, it's like Instagram, 90s version. Jason? Oh, he's rocking watch caps way before they were cool. There's even a pic from 1993 of him chilling with his dog. That same dog that's probably like, what does this hat taste like? Evidence? But wait, there's more. At Nicole's house, LAPD found 15 unknown fingerprints, none of which said, "Hello, I'm OJ." And the police, they didn't even bother checking them with Jason's print. Maybe they were too busy watching Friends or something. We were on a break from police work. And talk about a manicure nightmare. Nicole had blood and skin under her nails that didn't scream or match OJ's DNA. And speaking of fighting back, Ron Goldman, our resident third-degree black belt, had bruised hands, suggesting he probably didn't appreciate his attacker's choice of hat. OJ, perhaps thinking he's at a Magic Mike audition, strips for the LAPD a day after, and voila, not a single bruise. Lastly, Jason's DNA was like that one person who never shows up to the party. The LAPD never asked for it, nor did they interview him. So, you remember that show Storage Wars? Where they bid on lockers hoping to find a Picasso or maybe an original Beethoven manuscript? Well, guess what? William Deere, the author of the book, purchased the contents of a locker belonging to Jason, and among his collection of socks with holes, expired coupons, and Bob Ross paintings of all things, they found a knife. They found lots of knives. Yep, it's not just any knife. It's the possible, but who really knows for sure, murder weapon. I mean, who knew that alongside your forgotten Christmas decorations, you might also stash a potentially incriminating weapon? It's a 2-for-1 deal. Now, you may remember the OJ saga and his collection of knives. He had Swiss knives, stiletto knives, and maybe even a few butter knives. You can never be too careful, Toast, right? But all those were just posh dinner party stuff because they weren't the knife, the murder weapon. They didn't match the wound. Jason's knife, on the other hand, the one found in the storage locker, might have had an awkward encounter with Nicole's head. Say some forensic dude hired by William Deere, the author of the book. I mean, who needs CSI when you can just hire your own private scientist? Am I right? Little bit of background here. Jason, not wanting to be outdone by your typical Boy Scouts, attended the Army and Navy Academy. One of his mates was like, "Oh yeah, he knows how to chop veggies and humans." He has hand-to-hand combat training and field knife training. The works. Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds like the perfect resume for a chef. And then there's OJ. He apparently couldn't stand the sight of blood, so it does make you wonder. But let's move on. Reason number 5, Jason has no alibi. On the night between 9:45 PM and 10:05 PM, some terribly dreadful things went down. But guess who's got no alibi between 9:50 PM and well, indefinitely? That's right, our man Jason. I mean, I've been stood up on dates, but being stood up for an alibi, that's a new one. Now, Jason's excuse, he was working at a restaurant. Here's the kicker. Instead of clocking in with the fancy electronic system, which they did have, which was, might I add, perfectly functional, our man goes old school and handwrites his time card for this night. Who does that? It's like tweeting from a typewriter. And apparently, Jason and Nicole had a love-hate relationship, which, based on my experience, usually leans more on the hate side, if you know what I mean. And a man with rage issues is now miffed she didn't pop by to see him at work that night. Or maybe Jason never went to work that night, and Nicole never visited him at work because he was already with her at the murder scene that night. Who knows? Let's move on. Reason number 6. Finally, reason number 6. OJ hired a defense team for Jason. Right after the murders, he hired a defense team. And I mean, just 4 days before his own tango with the cops, OJ hires top-notch lawyer Carl Jones, not for himself, but for his eldest son, Jason. Funny thing is, Jason wasn't even on the police's radar. In fact, he hadn't even been invited for a polite chat over a cuppa with the bobbies. Now, I don't know about you, but if I'm hiring a lawyer for someone who isn't even a suspect, it's probably because they did something naughty. You know, like stealing the last cookie from the jar, or, you know, murdering your stepmom and her boyfriend in a violent attack. Allegedly. But let's talk about lawyers for a second. If you're falsely accused of murder, what's the first thing a lawyer will do? Wait, what's the second thing they'll do after, you know, charging you an arm and a leg? They'll point the finger at someone else, right? It wasn't my client, officer. Maybe it was the butler with the candlestick in the library. But here's the thing. OJ's legal team made zero effort to say, hey, if not OJ, then who? Could it be, and bear with me here, just a theory, that OJ was actually playing the role of a protective papa bear? Was he shielding his cub from getting into hot water? Or maybe he just had too much money to burn and thought, why not? Another lawyer won't hurt. Who knows? But OJ's legal defense strategy and that of the investigation never seemed to chase the answer. If not OJ Simpson, then who did it? Weird, right? Anyway, that was 6 reasons that suggest OJ's son Jason may be the real killer of Nicole Brown and Ron Goldman. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Or join the Bodach Discord server and share your thoughts there. Thank you for listening, and good night. Let's go play some bloody games.